I guess I can continue now. Well, that's the idea. What I was saying is that we have tried to be really aligned with the definitions in the EPBD about all the renovation passports requirements. So what we have done is develop all these black components on top of the blue ones, which are existing tools for diagnosis, for building renovation, many existing calculation engines or databases. So what we have tried to do is like put the pieces that were missing in order to be all these tools be able to show harmonized results in the interfaces. For doing so, what we have done first is to prepare a data model, which is completely aligned with the annex state of the EPBD. So we have all the structures and definitions and concepts defined. So each of our ecosystems can select if using all of them or only just a small part of them, but all inside the same structure and under the same definitions. Then we have built the main component, which is this renovation passport calculator, which is a backend component which gives a JSON file in which you can find the strategy for the renovation roadmap, the order of the different implementation of the energy conservation measures, the timelines, and some static results, but most importantly, the dynamic KPIs, which come from the different ordering or the different time between the implementation of the different measures, renovation measures. So this is a very ugly part in which you input very few data, and then you get a structure and harmonized information that then can be implemented in the different front ends. The different fronts that we have used is different tools that were already existing in the ecosystems, the pilot experiences of the project. For example, in Spain, we used this already existing tool, which at the beginning, it's a tool that only gives you a diagnosis of your renovation of your building and some renovation options. And now we have turned it into a renovation roadmap, fitting with the definition of renovation passport. But also we have other tools, like for example, this one from Ireland, and we also have different tools from the Netherlands and Italy. So the other thing that we have decided to do is to make this string of data also not only readable for different tools, but it also comes with a PDF format. You can download an harmonized PDF, which is also fitting the definitions and the requirements from the EPBD. This is more or less, this is a mock-up, it's not the final version, but in which you can see some of the things that the EPBD asks, like the timeline or the clear definition of the steps or the evolution, etc. And then finally, what we have built, since we are working with a common data model and with a unique calculator, even if we are using different front ends, what we have been doing is try to build like a repository with all the codes to this calculator, so we can start building like a common data set, harmonized data set with all the codes to the calculator. So at the end, we will be able to build some kind of dashboard in which we can monitor and follow up the different diagnosis and renovation intentions in the different buildings that have used all of our tools. And this is all that I wanted to share with you about the OCR.
Yeah, a couple of questions from my side. So why does OneClickRENO rely on so many different tools to integrate the results when usually European projects what they try to do is introduce a common resource instead?
Well, in fact, we do introduce a common resource, but it's not such a visible one than in other projects. We have been working in other projects in which we try to introduce a new tool, which is the same for the whole European Union. And it also had this contextual barriers, the language, the new brand. It was not such a successful output. So what we decided when we were thinking of this project is, okay, let's build something that is common for all of us, but it's hidden for the final user. And we take advantage of established brand, established tools that the citizens already trust in, so they continue using the same interfaces. But the data that we are now delivering is harmonized and can help us understand and compare between different areas of the European Union.
And now going back to the concept of the workshop and tying it to EPBD, how can this individual planning tools contribute to the EPBD and the EU's energy renovation objectives?
Yes, well, the idea, if the European Commission objective is that the buildings are zero energy by 2050, at the end, European Union has a lot to do, member states have a lot to do, but at the end, it's the citizens and the homeowners who have to renovate their buildings, the homes in which they live. So the idea was, or is in not only in our project, in many projects, let's give the citizens something that is relatable for them, that it's specific to their home, to their buildings, or at least quite specific to their buildings, so they can really understand and make the decision of really doing these renovations. But when we do it using these common tools, with these common pipelines and data models, we can build this data set and we can aggregate the results, and then we can do some analysis, we can do some follow-up, and then policymakers and authorities can do this analysis and decide on subsidies or on grants, on different kind of policies.
Okay, thank you very much. As a reminder for all of the newcomers, we will have the Q&A session after we are done with all of the presentations in a sort of like panel discussion mode. So if you have questions, please note them down and then we will give you the floor. So I now want to welcome our next project, which is iEPB, presented by Eva Lucas Segarra, who is a PhD architect researcher at the Valencia Institute of Building. Also, she's an expert in sustainable architecture, design, and building energy dynamic simulation. Even she has participated in several Horizon 2020 and LIFE projects related to energy efficiency and building energy renovations. Today, she will showcase the iEPB project.
Thank you.
All of you.
Thank you very much. So good morning, and thank you for the invitation for this interesting workshop. Okay. Me? Too big? Okay, so I'm going to explain, well, again, because yesterday I explained a little bit the iEPB project, but mainly focus on how are we going to implement the iEPB, the EPBD in practice. No? So, as you know, professionals are facing now a new era, like they need to visit the buildings many times to do many different assessments, using rigid and uncoordinated tools. And at the end, what it makes is that EPB assessments are perceived as costly and low value for all the market actors. And we think that one possible solution is the EPB common data model. So when we analyze and overlap the different building assessments, here we have DPC, SRI, Renovation Passport, etc. There are more. We can see that they share common data, and they have all a building elemental data that is common for all the assessments. No? That is the data from the building itself. No? We are working with buildings. So what we propose is to take advantage of it and develop a common data model. So the project wants to improve the synchrony between the multiple building performance assessment. We are working with EPCs, SRIs, and Renovation Passport by developing this common data model for EPB assessments. But we have also other objectives. We want to improve the data accessibility, to easy the collection, aggregation and analysis of the data from the buildings, and support more EU compliant, consistent, and accurate certifications and assessments schemes. Okay, so here I will show you the concept of IPB and some screenshots of the achievements that we have. So we have developed the IPB Common Data Model that allows the easy information exchange among different building evaluation tools. In this case, EPC, SRI, and Renovation Passport, and allocate all building information in one place. This is a screenshot of the structure or architecture of this schema. And we have also developed a guide for developers to implement the IPB schema because it is open, scalable for any building assessment. We have implemented it during the project in Ecotech, that is a software from Austria, but also in FEX in Spain. We are working with Therma, with BABI, Therma from Spain, BABI from the Netherlands. It is already implemented in SRI to market, as we saw yesterday, also in the IPB SRI application, and we are working in implementation in the OneClickRENO project that Anna explained. Okay. We have also developed an interface that allows the data management of the information contained in the IPB schema. It structures the data gathered and reported information following the schema, facilitating the input and output to its assessment calculation software. So we have two interfaces, one for building professional and another for end users. The professional interface is oriented to facilitate the data managing. We can see here the web app right now. But it's important that in this web app we can manage different building assessments and also different versions of the building assessments. So we can have the previous certification before the renovation and after, for example. And we allow also the integrated data gathering of all the assessments in one single visit. And we are also, well, this is under development, but the data gathering of all the assessments. And we are also connecting the web app with building databases, private and public, to integrate the data automatically. On the other hand, we have the end user interface that will enable end users to access the joint multiple EPB assessment results in a flexible and understanding manner. This is how it looks like right now. And we can also see there the aggregated data, okay? In addition, we are developing an API to data sharing and integration, for example, in national databases. We have developed also an SRI standalone application that is a calculation engine that could be incorporated in any assessment. It looks like that. It's just this, but it's very useful. Believe me, because you can put it in an EPC software and it calculates SRI directly. We have the guidelines of the tool, and we have also implemented the IPB schema in the CEPAP tool to provide EPB assessment with real performance data with calibrated models. Well, some screenshots. And we are also preparing national policy recommendation. So, at the end, to answer the question, how IPB is facilitating practical EPBD for implementation. Through the IPB schema and web app, a single file centralizes all building information in one location for us, acting as the digital building logbook. It facilitates the adoption of renovation passports and supports data exchange in an harmonized, machine-readable format. It also facilitates the issuing of digital EPCs and provides structured data to feed national databases. In parallel, the SRI standalone application addresses Article 15, delivering smart readiness assessments consistent with the harmonized EU methodology. And finally, the SEPA tool to IPB implements better energy use, incorporating real consumption data to increase the quality of the performance assessments. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Eva. That was a very thorough and technical presentation. So if you could summarize, like, very briefly, the main advantage of like all of these tools, like 1 or 2 sentences, what could it be?
Well, for me, the first is that we can exchange information among different assessments because it's, as I know, it's not very commonly done now. So I can use data from an EPC software and use it in the SRI software. So this allows you to avoid duplication. Also, I will say that at the end of the information is in one place, so it's easier to manage all the information that is coming now with this EPBD. And also that it is an open scalable format, so it can be, it can grow with many other assessments.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, thank you. I think for our third project, BARRIO, presented by Julia De Aloiso, who is an engineer and researcher in energy systems and sustainable construction. She gained research experience at the Fraunhofer Institute for Building Physics in Stuttgart before joining 30MAC, where she now leads the Funding and Grants Division, coordinating regional, national, and European research and innovation projects in sustainable construction, advanced materials, and energy efficiency. Today, she will be presenting the BARRIO project.
Thank you, Ander. Good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to share with you some.
Is the other?
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Okay, thank you so much. Sorry for these 2 seconds of interruption. Today I'm going to share with you some highlights of the BARRIO Life project. That is, in particular, we will see some highlights of the BARRIO defragmentation multidisciplinary toolkit that is aimed at fostering, boosting neighborhood scale renovation. But let's start with our context. Why we are here today? Well, because our context requires a strong change of course. Because from our data, from our reports available on the internet, from you, we can see that over 75% of new building stock is energy efficient, and about 40% of the energy used comes from buildings, as well as over 35% of GHG emissions come from building. Well, in this framework, we can also see that deep renovation rate is about 1% per year as an average among the all member states, and is far below the EU targets. Last year, the EPBD recast came into force, and the EPBD recast asks for shift the focus from single building retrofits to neighborhood scale strategies. In particular, the EPBD recast strengthened the role of district scale renovation in different articles that we listed in summary here, and it also strengthened the data collection, the role of the data collection to build robust building stock inventories. Last but not least, as Anna showed, the EPBD recast also strengthened the role of building renovation passport to let's say, to build staged roadmaps so as to foster decarbonization of our building stock. So our response to this framework is what we developed is the BARRIO project. As the name evokes, BARRIO. It is aimed at fostering, as I told you before, neighborhood renovation, because it comes from Latin, bar, apart from the Spanish word, the root of the word is bar, that is part of cities, what the Romans called part of cities. And how do we meet the EPBD, or we anticipate really the EPBD, because we shift the focus from fragmented data into neighborhood scale renovation plans, what we call APPs, and we aim to transform a single building BRPs into cluster-based staged renovation roadmaps. We are going to prepare automated prefabricated plans, and in this way we are turning policy ambition into practical implementation at district level. But how does it, why data is important for us? Because in the first slide or the second, I don't remember, we say that I told you that data is fundamental, okay? But data is the foundation because we start from the context analysis and clustering of buildings. So we group buildings. But the criteria rely on type, age, ownership, condition, so as to provide ready for joint intervention action. First one. Second one, we are going now in these days to build with our stakeholder the renovation need matrix. What does it mean? Humans in the center, at the center of the process. Here we are aligning our local priorities, we are listening to our communities, and we are going to align our local priorities to urgent needs and market opportunities, because we have not only to achieve the targets, but we have to align the policy targets with our needs of our communities. And then, on the basis of this, we are going to build integrated data layers based on APC, energy comfort, socioeconomic vulnerability, governance, finance readiness. This is a first screenshot of what we are going to build. And as an outcome, we are going to deliver a neighborhood scale level data set that will enable aggregated investment pipeline and collective renovation plans. How does it flow? That is our journey that will last at least 3 years, but then we hope to activate the market. First of all, we have started by the context analysis. On the basis of the context analysis, we are going to cluster buildings and aggregate renovation needs. In parallel, we are going to select to identify the solutions, in particular the prefab solutions, which meet the needs of the demand. Plus, we are going to identify the service providers in each ecosystem who are able to meet our demand. From this identification, tackling the demand and the supply side, we are going to match the demand and the supply side. And on the basis of the matching, we are going to build automated prefabricated plans, and we are going to validate them in our 4 ecosystems, which provide us with a diversity of market maturity scenarios, of different conditions, and so on. And we foster large-scale adoption. In this way, our neighborhood scale approach transforms data and BRPs into collective finance-ready plans and renovation strategies. Well, why matters? Because BARRIO is already EPBD in practice, because we try to overcome the fragmentation, the problem of the fragmentation. It is the most, let's say, the most important, or what we identified as the most important challenge to be tackled by aggregating demand and developing a suitable business model to match the demand and the supply side. We are going to validate it in 4 different ecosystems, as I told you before. But besides this, we are going also to provide the upskilling part, the MT pack that will allow us to train, to build capacity also in our ecosystems. And we are also to foster the integration of EPPs into SECAPs, local plans, and so on. In this way, we are going to make the neighborhood approach as viable, operational, and scalable, starting from data, then building on single BRPs where available, and then we are going to build aggregated prefabricated plans so as to provide our ecosystem with market-ready innovation pathways. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Julia. So, more or less the same as the previous iEPB, you've also emphasized a lot about data fragmentation. which is one of the main barriers to scaling up renovations. How can projects like BARRIO help harmonize data sets and make them actionable for decision makers? If you can dive a bit deeper into this.
Yes, as I explained you before, we are, let's say, going to collect data according to several criteria like socioeconomic, financial, energy, comfort, and so on. According to these indicators and criteria, we are going to build with our ecosystems criteria to prioritize the intervention. And in this way, we are going to tackle the fragmentation, because data are then collected and our ecosystem are really aware of what we collected, that what we collected really meets their needs, and then we are going to give our ecosystem criteria to prioritize, in particular policymakers, financial investors, criteria to prioritize the intervention.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going also back a bit to the name of the project, BARRIO. So the EPBD recast explicitly promotes neighborhood scale renovations. What would you say are the specific challenges of translating this policy ambition into practical implementation? What have you found during the project?
Yeah, well, the project started, I would say, less than 10 to 11 months ago, so it's relatively new, even though we are really working with our ecosystem, so we are tackling different challenges. What we really found as the main challenge is really the fragmentation, because the citizens are not aware, are confused where to ask information, where to find information, where to find data, and also there are a lot of sources. Okay, so I think that we experienced that the most important challenge from scaling up, from building by building renovation up to neighborhood scale approach is again the fragmentation that is amplified and must be tackled with, of course, by aggregating data, by aggregating buildings, by solutions that are, let's say, able to meet the needs, but also by making our stakeholders aware, let's say, to co-design our resources, our tools, and our approaches.
Okay, thank you very much. Again.
You're welcome.
So we are going to now jump from the neighborhood to building level with Build Up Speed. Sara Doregaray, who holds a PhD in architecture from the University of Navarre and graduated in the same discipline in 2020. She has combined her studies with work in architectural firms focused on building renovation and the use of wood as a sustainability and circular economy strategy. She is now part of the innovation team at Construcciones ACR, and today she will guide us through Build Up Speed. Welcome to the podium.
Okay. So thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Ander, for your presentation. Today I'm explaining the Lightspeed project. That is a project from the Live Goal, a program that is transforming the way Europe builds. As we've been talking about, we have the energy performance of building, has supported over 1,000 projects and has invested more than 200,000 euros during the last years, just to demand, because there's a need of faster and more efficient construction. However, we face that we have a critical problem. The industrialized solutions, they're not arriving to all publics, even that this shows a faster and more efficient way of constructing. We are reducing the waste, improving the quality and energy performance of buildings. But anyway, the perception that users have of the industrialized solution, it's not the most efficient one. It's seen as a really expensive solution, but rather than the traditional one. This is where Build Up Speed makes a difference, because our mission is to bridge the gap between European research and construction needs. We do this in 3 ways. First of all, we promote industrialized solutions through digital innovation. Secondly, we connect the generated knowledge with real practice. And third, we support architects, we support developers, contractors to identify the industrialized solution that best fits to their specific needs. To achieve this, we developed 5 comprehensive approaches through European ecosystem, which the first one is the Austria ecosystem. Second, we have France, Italy, Netherlands, and Spain. What we do in each ecosystem is to study it, to provide us a unique insight into local renovation demands. And this is how we analyze this diversity to compile different solutions related to each ecosystem. This research of ecosystems is developed through different tools that close the gap between technology and real-world needs. The first tool is a market activation platform. It's a digital hub that consolidates a database of industrialized solutions, technical specification, and real-world case studies that helps decision making. This platform helps mainly decision makers to identify the most effective solution related to their particular needs. To achieve this technological viewer, we are currently working with BIM solution, virtual reality visualization, implementation, and taking feedback from users. Yes, and this also additionally, we have collaborated closely with a specialized project, including remodules, which is currently focused in energy efficiency solutions and to integrate with our viewer and expand platform capabilities. The second tool that we have developed is the pop-up factories. It's a modular production unit that operates near renovation sites. And we have developed 5 existing scenarios from a mobile on-site to regional factories and service hubs. The proximity that enables real-time customization reduces transport needs and enhances sustainability, offering transformative solutions to scale deep renovation across Europe. Build-up speed is shaping the future of construction through industrialized solutions and digital innovation, creating opportunities to work for everyone. But why does this matter? Because this transformation benefits all stakeholders. For residents, it means safer housing. For environment, lower environmental impact. For society, faster response to climate emergencies. And for industry, accessible and profitable solutions. We are connecting technology and real needs by the end. And thank you for attention. I'll be happy to answer any requirement.
Okay, so in Build Up Speed, you presented yet another platform, which is this market activation platform.
Yes.
What's new about it, and what's the unique added value of it?
Okay, sure. It's interesting because with this tool, what we do is to mainly study different parameters from each ecosystem, because at the end we have different places, different climate, different market maturity. So through studying the location, the energy requirements, the carbon footprint, all the tools that they have in each ecosystem, we're able to, by the end, give to the final user or stakeholder the solution that best fits to their needs.
And I'm also a bit intrigued about this POOF, not only because
Okay.
the acronym is quite funny, the pop-up factories. Can you tell us a bit more about them? Like, what's the scale of these factories? Are they for like a neighborhood, a city? It's just like, do you build them for an independent building?
Yeah, well, somehow with the pop-up factories, what we do is to study the circular economy mainly. And it is true that even that, well, we could take it from a building scale. At the end, we work with we can work with the neighborhood, well, requirements and needs, and identify those technical constraints that they may have, and give well, but the end, like a methodology that would be compatible to that scale application.
So like it varies.
Yes, it's like we start from the building, but at the end, it takes into account what's surrounding that.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. And we jump to our last presentation before the panel, which is the project FACILITA, presented by Leticia Ortega Madrigal, PhD architect from the Polytechnic University of Valencia. She has over 15 years of experience in energy efficiency, circularity, and sustainability. She, at the Valencian Institute of Building, Leticia leads the training and employment area with a strong expertise in stakeholder engagement and collaborative renovation. She also coordinates the Live FACILITA project, which she will present today. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, good morning. As I'm the last one, I have more public than the first one. Don't worry, my project is not another complex tool to be explained. My project is the simplest one, that's why it's the last one. But the difficulty of my project is not about explaining it, it's about implementing it. So I have the responsibility. So what is FACILITA? It's a project that tries to trigger ambitious renovations in public buildings, okay? We are not targeting residential ones because most of my colleagues didn't mention that they were targeting residential buildings, but yeah, so I tell you. I am the public building girl. And how we are going to target these renovations? We are going to create 3 regional one-stop shops. That means we are a national life project working in Spain, even if we have also European partners in order to scale up. But we have selected the regional scale because we are working with public buildings. So to work locally is not suitable for us. We need a broader scale. So that's why we have selected the regional level, because in Spain, the national level is too far from the local authorities. So regional is a good scale. So we are totally connected with the EPBD. Why? Because the EPBD mentions the one-stop shops as one of the main and key instruments in order to trigger the renovations in public, but also in residential buildings. So we are going to create integrated support by the one-stop shop. We are going to make use of all these tools we have seen today. That's why we are together here, in order to create one-click information site, virtual office, so that we can help the public authorities in their target of renovating. We are going also to collect all the financing solutions. We are not to create new ones because they are already existing, at least for public buildings. The problem is that the main public authorities don't know about them and how to do it. So we are going to teach them, give capacity building in order for them to know what they have available and how to implement it. We, in order for you to know if you want to collaborate with us, we are in the first year of the project. We are ending in 2027, so you have until there to be able to cooperate with us. After that, we will have 3 one-stop shops operational that now they don't exist, so we are creating them from scratch. And of course, we also will save energy, promote investments, and make policymakers to understand what they have to change at regional, national, and European level in order to promote at least public building renovations. The other, I let my colleagues to work on.
Could you go a little bit to the white area, because you're lost there in the
Okay. And one of the key issues of FACILITA is that we are not creating a tool. What we are going to do is to take advantage of the tools that others are doing in order to adapt them to public buildings. So, for example, we are cooperating with OneClickRENO, the project that was explained by Anna in the first place. They are creating a tool to give advice on the different renovation stages for their residential buildings. We are trying to do the same using the same tool, but adapted to public buildings. So we have already all the resources there. The thing we have to do is to change in order to be adapted to public buildings. And we are also cooperating with the BARRIO in order to, because now in the tools we are having as a base, we can just address one building. And for public scale, one building is not enough because they need to aggregate the demand because they have a lot of buildings and they have to be able to study all of them at the same time. So BARRIO helps us a lot in that because they are going to make it viable to study all the building stock at the same time. That now is not possible with the tools we have already now. So that's one of the main keys of our project, that we really take advantage of the cooperation in order to make the projects more efficient. And that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Leticia. So when you talk about public buildings, what kind of buildings are we talking about? Is it like public housing, schools, offices?
All type of public buildings. We have, now we are in the first year of the project, so we have analyzed all the building stock of each of the regions in order to see which is the most efficient strategy to now address public buildings. In each of the regions, as we have Madrid, Extremadura and Valencia, that are really difficult, really different regions, the targets are different because in Madrid we have bigger buildings, for example. In Valencia we have a lot of buildings in the coast that are different from Extremadura that have very disseminated ones. So we are targeting all public buildings, but depending on the region, we are targeting specific buildings to be effective.
Which I guess also this will create a different one-stop shop model in each independent region. So have you already identified which will be the main differences between the 3 pilots?
And one of the key issue of our project is that we have 3 different governance models in order to test which is the best one. Let's say we have one-stop shop that is totally public in Extremadura, that is run by an energy agency. Then we have a totally private office that is in Madrid, that is run by a consultancy. And then we have in my region, in La Comunidad Valenciana, another that is a non-profit foundation, that is ours, even, that is funded by the regional government. So we are in the middle. And we have seen advantages and disadvantages of each governance model, and then we will give advice on which is better for each solution, and that's one of the main issues of FACILITA.
Yeah, so what would you say are the main challenges identified for each of the models?
Yeah, the main challenges for the public ones, they have a lot of difficulties in being able to give advice on specific companies or professionals because they cannot give advantage of a professional or a company, so they cannot give advice for someone asking which company I can select. They can't give any guidance on that. So that's a barrier for the public. Then for private, they have more difficulties in building trust for the client because the clients know they have profit. So sometimes it's difficult for for the clients to trust them in order to see that they are equitable. And then, what can I say? If I'm in the middle, I'm the not-profit foundation, I think our situation is the most suitable one for one-stop shops. But we will see at the end of the project what happens.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess one last round of applause for all of the presentations. You are going now to the podium for the panel discussion. So, actually, I don't know if we can have questions online or not, or where we are transmitting, polls, people, Q&A. At least for the moment. But I would like now to open the podium to questions from the audience. So shamelessly, shoot if anyone wants to comment anything, otherwise I will be the one taking the floor. Any questions from you? Any comment that you want to make about the projects presented so far?
So actually, I have many questions, but I try to stick to one. Obviously, all these projects on renovation techniques, they are facing this question on how to activate the renovation, how to go from designing a roadmap to actually doing renovations. One thing that seems to work is one-stop shops, so for public buildings, but also for private buildings. Have you investigated the connection with existing one-stop shops? And here, for example, for build-up skills, I noted that you work in the Netherlands, France, Italy, Spain, Austria.
Yeah.
So countries where, let's say, one-stop shops are quite mature, in at least in many regions. So is this something that you've explored?
Well, yes, it's something. I don't know. We really work with the market maturity part, and our main. I don't know if you can help me, if not, because I'm still try to understand the project, so I may not give the complete question. If not, my colleagues are also participating.
Yeah, in fact, I think that in build-up speed we have tried to make this connection with existing one-stop shops because, for example, in Valencia or in Spain, there's a lot of initiatives on one-stop shop in the experience of our ecosystem in build-up speed, which is more related with Valencia, which is the one that I know more, or in maybe Navarra. I'm not so sure. But in our experience, industrialized concepts and one-stop shops addressed to regular citizens, they are not really matching. It's not like the best option that they can offer for the moment. Maybe because of the perception of the regular citizen of the industrialized solutions, maybe because industrialized solutions are meant to be like more aggregated or massive solutions. So for the moment, it's not something that we are really exploiting. We try because we are aware of that option, and that the one-stop shop is one of the main tools to arrive to citizens. But I'm not sure we are really getting there.
No.
Okay, because spontaneously you would think that one-stop shops can help with project aggregation,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
typically what the industrialized renovation sector is looking for.
In fact, local one-stop shops are really willing to aggregate.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that it's not still happening in our context.
When the customers, they are offered, okay, either you go for your renovation, or you wait a little bit, or you try to adapt in order to have lower prices, they are not interested.
It's not that they are not interested, it's that just the one-stop shop is still like not ready to do all this work because it's a lot of work for
Yeah, I suppose so.
doing the aggregation. So maybe when BARRIO is ready, they can help us.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Indeed, I was just thinking about how to link to, let's say, to complement,
Yeah.
because we are going to aggregate demands to let also the one-stop shop able to meet that needs and to scale, to activate the economies of scale. And that's why we build on the single expertise of build up speed, but then we will move forward because we have really to work a lot also with our local context to make them ready to aggregate. And also for the prefab solutions, there is also another point that Anna mentioned, the readiness of the context to adopt the prefab solutions, because, for example, in our 4 ecosystems, we have Italy, Spain, Bulgaria, Slovenia. We are not so ready to adopt from today up to tomorrow prefab solutions. So we are also working in the construction of solution packages and plans, which will integrate both industrialized solution, but also traditional construction solutions, so that to accompany our ecosystems into the adoption. And to design, we have also set up specific indicators to quantify, to assess the readiness of the context to adopt the prefab solution. So it's,
I can say that from FACILITA that we are working with public buildings, they can act as a front runners because as they have already the building stock all together, we have contacted the different parts of the government dealing with different type of buildings. And for example, in education and especially in the health system, they are really interested in creating prefabricating solutions in order to perform all their work in their buildings. So they are already doing that, and we are helping them from FACILITA in order to create, with the help of Build Up Speed, in fact, because we are partners in both projects, how they can do that, because they don't know how, because regional governments are not with the technical staff prepared on innovation work. So we are capacitating them in order to perform such innovation. So I think we will do the work on front runners. So maybe then the residential can copy.
Yeah, I think we are not seated here together by casualty. We have a lot of gaps to fill.
capitalization.
So if I may, I would also like to bring the property owner's perspective here, since I work for UAPI representing them. One thing about this prefab solution that you haven't mentioned is, and it's something that we face when we do like our events and we talk to our members, is the fear of this industrialized solution will create very monotonous buildings, and that the buildings they own will lose like their independent like aesthetic value and so on, which I know it's not a technical barrier, it's more of an emotional one.
Yeah.
But when you talk to private owners, it's also important. So next question. Yep.
So it's mostly for iEPB, but I think it's fitting also for others. So let's say bringing together data, a common data set from EPCs, renovation passports, SRIs, don't remember, is a little bit of a dream. You know, sometimes I think what would really be a catalyst to use all this data. So the question is, because already if we look into EPCs, there's vast differences between the various countries. So what are the countries that iEPB covers? And this, let's say, the common data set very much influenced by the countries. So let's say that you could have a common data set of 100 KPIs, but because you have one particular country in it, you know, it drops to 50 or something.
Yes. We are working in Spain, in Austria, and in the Netherlands. And the schema is structured in a way that it has, well, I need some presentation now. Okay, the IPB format is inside the format. You have two files. You have a GPXML file, okay? We analyze different options and we say, took this. And we have a IPB XML file. So the GPXML file, since it is commonly used, not everyone, but is a standard, is common, okay? So all the data that you can put there, you should put there, okay? In the guideline is the first, the first indication. So the information that is there is very common, so many countries, many software can use it. Then we go to the next step. The next step is the IPB XML. That is the data that cannot be in the GBXML. And inside the IPB XML, so we have I need to say that. We have per country, okay, because we go, when you go to a country, it's different. For each country, for example, in Spain, we have building information or building data that it has this, the circle that I mentioned, no? This building elemental data that is the data from the building. So the GR, the cadastral reference, are the things that are not going to change, no, at the end. So this is common for all the assessments in Spain. Okay. Then we go another step, and we go to EPCs, no?
Okay.
And inside EPCs, we have common data for all the software for EPCs, and it's there. And then we go one step more, and we have, for example, in Spain, TEX, and the specific data for TEX is there, thermal specific data, and so on. And then we have also results, okay? And results is common because in Spain, at least, we have a common XML file with the results information and also the model information of and this is common. So I can read a result from Therma in TEX because I'm using the IPB format. So we have structured it in a way that we are sharing what we can, no? But at the end, we have this common GBXML for everyone, and this is the idea.
So the IPB XML in Spain is the IPB XML in Spain. Then
Yes,
in
but-
Austria, it's another one. And
Yeah,
then
but it could be all together.
Yeah, but I mean, in practice,
Yeah.
you will make use of that information much more in Spain.
Yes, but the IPB format that contains the GPXML that could be shared by everyone is inside the IPB, so.
That part is clear. Okay, great. Thank you.
But it is not so easy because then when I explain it like that, it's okay, it's done.
If it was easy, I wouldn't dream of
Yeah.
it so often. I don't know if any other of the projects has something, because I mean, it was mentioned, but I mean, that was the key question was
Yeah.
not for
So more in general about data coordination among countries.
Yeah,
Is an issue.
even as you work between you and projects, I mean, again, you have some kind of common format, no?
Yeah, in fact, we are also collaborating with iEPB in defining the renovation passport structure. I think that, but we also have another data model in OneClickREno. And when I think of the iEPB format and or data model and our data model, we are not as thorough as you are. What we have done is try to put like everything, and then each user has the freedom to fill 3 or 3,000 data inside that data model. It can be very short or very long. Yours is much more about interoperability between many different tools and existing schemas and existing data sets. So it's much more complex. For the moment, we are just delivering information. So we deliver short or long information. It's no problem. It's then the software that will read and say, I'm using this one and this one and this one. It's much different.
Yeah. First, yeah, you were
Is
first.
it me?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. If my question is for build-up speed. What is the timeline of the project? Is it almost over? Is it halfway through?
It's almost over. It should have been end by right now, I think, but it's been extended a couple months, and we're ending on June. So, for example, the platform will be almost available in a couple months. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And if I understood, there's going to be this map of industrialized solutions.
yes.
Will that be somehow sustained once the project ends, or that is to be decided?
It's still to be decided.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Yeah.
If Yan from Nottingham Trent University, my question is whether from your experiences in renovation, are there any potentially low-cost solution and can be easily implemented but have barrier from regulation which preventing those happening? In any way, you're thinking current regulation is not really helping.
Well, in the case of build-up speed, it's like well, it is created because there's a lack of knowledge, and moreover, it's perceived as a really expensive solution, the one that it's industrialized. So it's not something about money, and moreover, there's a huge gap between the final client and the one that creates the industry in general. There's not constant communication, and for example, as I'm coming from a construction company, there's not, well, we should be the connection between both worlds and the one that supports the client and the one that connects the industry, but there are like a different, well, it's been a sum of different parameters that doesn't help implementing solution, even that, well, they're not like a really the cheapest one, and it's not just money.
I would like to add that when I have worked in residential buildings, that was 1 year before, I focus on public buildings. The thing is that we have investigated a lot. There is not a magic solution cheaper than the others. The thing is that in residential building, you can create profit. You can add a surface, for example, balconies, or you put another building on the top. So you create benefit from it, and then you invest that benefit in the renovation. So that's one of the keys for the renovation in Spain that is not being promoted by the regulations, because in Spain to create new surface for a building is too complicated. I tried to do some pilots in, for example, Valencia, and they didn't allow us to add any balconies because it was supposed to increase the surface in public dwellings, and they are not allowing us to do that because you create a difference among the others. So we were hinted in that sense, and also there is the possibility of adding a new dwelling on the top, but the regulation in the cities don't allow you to put another dwelling on the top. So you cannot make that solution either. So that's one of the main things I think the policy should work on for residential buildings, to allow this kind of new investment models, financing model.
If I may complement, because we are also tackling the aspect of prefab solution, industrialized prefabricated solution. We analyzed our context, the solutions which are available onto the market and so on. What we found out is that we have what we call passive solution, passive prefab solution is only covering the insulation part of the building. But what we do not find, or we find more difficulty, is the active and passive solution integrated in one, and this are extremely costly until now. And what we noticed is that in our context, we do not have specific incentives to promote this kind of active and passive solution integrated. Additionally, one of the barriers that we have we are facing with in our countries is the lack of standardization of these solutions. So certification, standardization. So this is something that we have also to take into account. For now, we are basically focused on already existing solution into the market that tackle mainly prefab solution that tackle mainly insulation aspect. That can be installed either on the wall, on the roof, or balcony, and so on.
In our institute, for example, the Valencian Institute of Building, we are trying to help innovative solutions, for example, bio-based materials or prefabricated ones. We are helping the companies that sometimes they are entrepreneurs that they don't have too much resources in order to obtain the certificates to be operative in our region. So that's one of the things regional government is trying in our region at least.
And if I can add another thing, I can see that regulations are like trying to address the problem and trying to do, and policymakers are trying. There's subsidies, there's grants, there's reducing the bureaucracy, helping with the documents, etc. But at the end of the day, and I don't know how this can be tackled, it's why we work on this field. When you ask an owner or an occupant to renovate their home, it's a very disruptive process in their life. So they are really reluctant. It can be very cheap, it can be very nice, it can be improving their comfort inside the home, but if they have to move for some weeks or some months, or if they have to suffer the dust and the noise, it's really disruptive. So they really need to be willing to renovate their homes, because it's very uncomfortable. For us, it's very easy to talk about renovation and the impacts, and we do all the calculations. It's like super nice if we do the renovation. But then it's the person that lives inside that building that really has to do all the process. And I think that's one of the main barriers. And I'm not sure how regulation or policy can tackle that.
Any other question? Yeah.
My name is Anna Ruszkiewicz. I represent the Regen project that is also working on one-stop shops. We take it a little bit further than concept that we are developing for. So I have a question mainly for Leticia, but maybe for all of you. For Leticia specifically, because as I understand, yours would be focused on public buildings, right? So I'm wondering whether those barriers, like for instance, people just not wanting to deal with the hassle of renovation, would apply then to, let's say, the owners of the managers of the public buildings, and if not, then what would be the main barriers with them that you encounter in one-stop shops for public sector?
The big surprise for me when I started to work in public buildings is that financing, that is the main barrier for residential buildings, was not a problem for them. They have available financing for renovation, but they don't know how to use it, and they don't have the staff, the technical staff to perform the renovation. So the three main barriers for me is that the bureaucracy is too much for them. It's very complex to ask for an aid from the European Commission or the region or the country. They don't have the staff, especially the smaller municipalities, and they are not able to implement any innovation and select the most effective solutions because they don't have the knowledge. So a one-stop shop, I think, is a perfect solution for them because we can create this capacity building. We can help them on giving one-click tools in order to make their all the process more simple. And it's true that we can help them on the bureaucracy, but the policymakers have to help us. It's not just our work. It's them. The policy is not just about setting ambitious targets. It's also giving resources for the local authorities to be able to perform the renovations. So we are trying to also work with them in understanding, because in Spain, the lack of technical staff is created by a law that that hinders the local authorities to hire more staff. They are not able to hire staff. So one of the solutions for the energy renovation is that the national government changes that law in order to make the city councils to hire staff in order to be able to renovate. We can help them, but if there is no one in charge, we cannot make anything.
Okay.
Welcome.
You have a question too?
Yeah, actually, it's almost the same topic. Thank you for your presentation. It was very, very interesting. So I am a psychologist and I study the social acceptance of renewable energy technologies. So another topic, of course, related. That's why it's super interesting, really, data, tools, everything. But it's also very difficult, I guess, for everyone. So, and I also think it's not only about sharing the knowledge, but also the way. So how we can really think, how we can target the communities in order to have support from them. And I don't know if somehow you covered this. I mean, you already said something.
If I may add to that, UIPI is going to publish actually next week, most probably, a huge EU-wide survey that covers the perspectives and experiences of renovation among private property owners. And this is one of the main issues, the lack of knowledge or perception about the different tools. And I have noted a couple that are relevant for this workshop. So, for example, regarding one-stop shops, almost 90% of the surveyed property owners are not even aware of the concept of one-stop shop for building renovation. And it's kind of similar for these building renovation passports. We have like 84% of the people are not aware. So promoting these ideas in society is one of the main challenges for the uptake, like to at least have it spoken about in the public.
Yes, because in fact, we develop many tools, but not all the citizens or the owners are able to get to them, use them, or understand the results that these tools are giving. We have worked in other projects with one-stop shops very specifically, and it's really a great channel to get to the citizens because they get this personal face-to-face support, and there's someone there that is listening to their specific need. So I think all the things that we do will, if we really want to get to the citizens, they should be really channeled through one-stop shops, because it's one of the best ways to get to the citizens. But at the same time, citizens need to know that there are one-stop shops to which they can go.
I have to say that sometimes in this kind of studies, people say that they don't know what a one-stop shop is because the work has been done really well at local site, and they don't perceive they are using a one-stop shop, but there is one.
They have the definition.
So. Yeah, but maybe they are local NGOs or other type of entities that are acting as a one-stop shop, because we have been studying what has been done, and sometimes it's difficult because not always it's the label of one-stop shops, and there are local actors acting as one-stop shops. So we have discovered, answering your question, that the key issue is not to create something from new, as Anna said in her presentation, is trying to use what the citizens already know and improve it in order to, let's say, adopt more steps of the customer journey. It's not that you arrive to a local community and say, I'm giving you a totally different point of view. No, it's like, okay, I'm with you, with the local community, helping you a bit more than before. So I think that's the approach. Study very well the local actors and work with them, helping them. And it's not to get the community the fish, it's to help them how to catch the fish.
Thank you.
We have 4 minutes for one last question.
Yes. No, there's one question that I really would like to know your views about. So industrialized renovation is a sort of new profession in the construction sector, where a lot of other professions have been there for a very long time. I've heard before that for industrialized renovation, it's not so challenging to find qualified people because it's factory work and you can easily, there are pool of workers available. Do you have this impression, or is it a more specific profession that needs specific training?
I leave that to you.
No, we don't find it in that sense. The main gap we have identified from our point of view, it's that since there's a kind of lack of knowledge, first of all, that's why Build Speed makes brings to light all solution of industries that have been developed. And in the market, in the real world, we will say, there's not a problem of producing it because there's qualified people in the industry. It's right there. Everything is prepared. It's not more developed because, first of all, the lack of knowledge and the people that, for example, arrives to the constructor. It's aware because they don't know the industry size solutions, and it's not supported by policies, even that there's an already developed market.
Yeah, and I think maybe it's not a supply side problem because the qualification is there, the factories are there, the products are there. It's maybe a problem of demand because demand is still not prepared or aware of the benefits of using these kind of solutions, or they have not seen them more in the cities, in the neighborhoods house. So they are not really.
Yes, like a mix between knowledge or perception, or that could be a real solution because we may think that it's still something of the future, that could be done right now, even that we have all the tools.
Yeah.
If I may complement, also for BARRIO, to cover, let's say, to bridge this kind of gap, we prepared a two-layer training. One is also for, let's say, for prefab solution, because, the skills are there, of course, but supply side is there, but there are some specific, let's say, skills required also when installing the prefab that arrives to the site, and this must be covered, that we experienced also at local level with other projects, and that's why we prepared the first one-layer training also for, let's say, guidelines for installing or checking the prefab solutions, and then the second level training would be the DMT package that covers the benefits of prefabricated solution that is for citizens and to foster the adoption of that solutions.
We have worked also in projects about training, but the conclusion was that there is no need to create new careers or new. The thing is, to each level of the actors need a specific training. So maybe for the beginning, right now, we need industrialization facilitators, circularity facilitators that are really experts in helping all the actors to work together on that specific challenge. And then with time, we will have the market adapted. But by now, maybe we need specific people trained to facilitate. In fact, in Build Speed, we have that figure, the facilitator of each ecosystem. We have the knowledge. That's the new profession we need right now.
Okay, so thank you very much.